to stay.
Hello and welcome back to Beyond Boards, a podcast dedicated to the actions and interests of skaters beyond skateboarding. My guest today, Léo Valls, was one of the very first people who agreed to do an interview with me when I started this project a year and a half ago. But for many reasons, we weren't able to make it happen until today. Léo has become throughout the years a sort of skateboarding mayor of the city of Bordeaux, France, where he grew up and where he keeps developing skate urbanism initiatives, which are inspiring many other cities around the world. One of the earliest pros on Magenta skateboards, he has also recently become a father. He is a yoga enthusiast under the influence of his wife Lauren, and at 36 years old his skating is more creative than ever, showing no signs of slowing down anytime soon. So let's get right into it. This is my conversation with Léo Valls. I hope you'll enjoy it. All right. Thank you very much, Léo, for having me in your house today in Bordeaux. Pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you for coming. Yeah, thank you for coming to Bordeaux. Thank you for coming all the way to my living room, actually.
Exactly.
To record this interview.
In very hot and sweaty Bordeaux.
It's a hot day, yeah.
Hot day in August.
End of August.
So usually I start the interviews with just a basic question, which is how did you find skateboarding? So I know that you grew up in Bordeaux, well actually in Bruges, which is right next to it. So can you tell me about growing up and finding skateboarding and picking up a skateboard basically?
Sure. Well, I grew up in the Bordeaux area, in a small town next to Bordeaux called Bruges. Like the city in Belgium, but it's actually a small town next to Bordeaux.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't much to do in Bruges, so I was playing soccer, I was being just an average little kid, drawing, playing soccer, all that stuff. And eventually ran into skateboarding. And my first encounter with skateboarding, I was kind of bored in front of my parents' house in an afternoon, and I saw a Rasta pushing in the middle of the street on a skateboard, jumping over a manhole. And he gave me kind of like a bad look, and he disappeared, and I never saw the guy again. But yeah, I remember I was super stoked and impressed by the amount of freedom that this guy expressed.
Yeah.
So quickly after I picked a skateboard, I realized it was way more difficult than I thought.
Mm-hmm.
And just stick with it,
Okay. So you started skating. So how old were you at that point? Like a teenager?
12 or 13. And actually, my neighbor was Grégoire Grange, who's currently the director of the local organization in Bordeaux called Bordeaux.
Yes.
Like a board and the letter O.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And Grégoire is 10 years older than me. And he was living right next to my parents' house with his parents. And he's kind of the guy who introduced me to skating. And he would give me VHS tapes about him skating around the sidewalks of Bruges and Bordeaux. And I thought it was super impressive. And then I remember he gave me copies of VHS tapes of 411 videos.
Mm-hmm.
And he had all the first 411 videos, and that really introduced me to skateboarding. I started watching 411 videos, and then I got really into skateboard videos from a young age.
Yeah.
And I remember my parents had this computer, and I started downloading all the skateboard videos I could find online, and I just watched everything over and over again on repeat, everything I could find, from the Zero videos of like people in California skating big handrails to the Eastern Exposure videos to all the, Logic, 411, like Puzzle, all the like
everything you could
watch
find.
Everything, like to the old school videos, like the stuff from the 80s and stuff. And that's really what gave me my first skateboard culture, it's just skate videos and kind of geeking on it and downloading as much videos as possible.
You just mentioned Eastern Exposure, and I know that the FTC videos as well were a big influence on you.
Yes.
So tell me about finding those videos and how they resonated more to you than maybe some of the other videos that you were watching.
Well, now that I think about it, I believe that watching these videos back then was a way for me to travel.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember really being kind of studying the backgrounds where the skaters were skating.
The scenery around them.
The scenery, and I remember watching like Penal Code 101A, like the old FTC video, and seeing the San Francisco hills with the Victorian houses and stuff. And I thought he looked fantastic. He looked completely different from where I was from.
Yeah.
And then watching Eastern Exposure or like Ricky Oyola skating in Philadelphia, he looked completely different. And then the European videos look different also. So for me, it was kind of a way to be like, oh wow, like Barcelona looks like this, and New York City looks like that, and San Francisco looks totally different, like, oh, Australia has different type of vibe and architecture. And in a way, for me, it was a way to travel because I didn't travel much when I was a kid before I got really into skateboarding and traveling by myself. So that was actually a key moment for me to make me want to travel with my skateboard and go towards people and meet people.
And so, for example, the Eastern Exposure videos, why would you say that they resonated more for you than, for example, the Zero video? What made them more appealing maybe to you?
I think it's... from a young age, I got really into jazz and funk music.
Oh, yeah?
My dad is a big fan of jazz music, so, I grew up surrounded by jazz. Yeah. And I guess the FTC videos or the New York videos they had more like this vibe, you know. So I remember also watching skate videos because of the music a lot.
Yeah.
Like when I found a track that I really liked, I would like actually play it.
Listen to it on repeat.
I would listen to it through the skate video.
Yeah.
So it was, I think it was a way to travel, a way to discover music as well, and just a way to integrate this skateboarding culture that's actually so rich.
Oh, yeah.
If you watch it from a global scale, it's
for sure.
Actually insane. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Before we started recording this, you told me about your parents. I was just curious to know, so your dad is a sociologist, right? And your mom is or was a therapist. And so I was just curious to know how did they perceive skateboarding when you first started? And were they kind of receptive to it? Were they encouraging? And perhaps how has their perception evolved to today where you're a professional skateboarder and you've been doing this for a while now?
Yeah, well, my mom is a psychologist and my father is a psychosociologist, actually. Okay. So I guess at first they were kind of confused because it's not their culture.
Well, yeah.
But quickly, and especially my dad, they understood what he meant. And I think my dad got the idea that, it's kind of like school life, to be out in the streets all day, just spending time, like exploring cities and meeting people and talking with all kind of different people when you're a kid, like getting kicked out by rich people, like getting kicked out by the police, talking with homeless people in the streets, or like, you know, all type of different interactions. And I think he found that quite interesting. And then through the years, he understood the skateboarding culture and is very supportive of what I'm doing now. Okay. But I think it took a couple years,
for them to adjust and understand it better.
I think so. But they were open, they were down with it,
And so tell me about maybe the first travels that you did outside of Bordeaux and outside of France, maybe. So I know that you met your wife in San Francisco, and I'm not sure if it was your first time in the US, but I guess it was your first time in San Francisco. But tell me about traveling and skating, because obviously it's become such a big part of you and your life. And
well, after discovering all these videos, like I said, I got really into the actual act of traveling. So the first trip I took to America, I decided it was kind of like flipping a coin and being like, should I go to the East Coast or should I go to the West Coast? And I ended up going to San Francisco because of these old FTC videos, And I met a lot of cool skaters in San Francisco. It got me really into skating fast, like bombing the hills and learning how to skate fast and learning how to appreciate simplicity over technical stuff,
Right.
And I met Lauren, my wife, in a cafe one morning in San Francisco on Haight and Ashbury, actually, which is a famous crossing path in San Francisco near the Golden Gate Park. And the rest is history. It's been many years now.
For sure.
So we lived in America. We got married. We lived in America for a few years, and then eventually we moved to Japan for a bit, and then we moved back to France, to Bordeaux, and we've been in Bordeaux since.
I want to ask you about Japan in a second, but I was just wondering, how did sponsors start happening for you? Because you've been skating for Magenta for a long time now, since it started in 2010, I think. But what kind of boards were you skating before that? And were you already getting shoes or other skateboarding gear from other brands?
It came very organically. I wasn't planning to be a sponsored skater or to become a pro skater at all. back in the day, or at least when I started skating, it seemed impossible to make a living with skateboarding without doing competitions or without skating like in a gnarly way, if I can say, like jumping down big stuff, you know.
Sure.
And I wasn't into that from the get-go. I like tech ledge skating, you know, and then I got really into more like cruisy, surfy, creative skating, if I can say. But it just happened organically, you know. I started shooting photos for Sugar magazine and filming videos with my friends at home. And I got contacted by David Coulio, who was doing Metropolitan skateboards, and they started sending me boards. And then I got a shop sponsor. Samir Krim was running iPath in France, and he was sending me shoes. So I was really stoked because I was next to I was in the same team as Soy, and I was a huge Soy fan already. So and I really liked iPath and the whole like, you know, roots.
I didn't know you skated for iPath. Okay.
Yeah, just for a little bit, kind of like flow style, you know.
Cool.
And then I started producing more content, and actually I'm going to be talking about Japan a little bit.
Go ahead.
My good friend I grew up with, Masaki, who's also from Bordeaux. We grew up skating together. He's half French, half Japanese, so he had family in Japan, and he was like, okay, let's go to Japan and let's go and skate and make videos and connect with people. So we went to Japan with a small crew. We stayed for a few weeks with his family, which was culturally like overwhelming, super great and eye-opening on many levels. And during this trip, we see that there is a big video premiere in Japan. It was 2008.
Okay.
It was 14 years ago. And we go to this premiere, the big theater, and it's actually the premiere of Overground Broadcasting, a big video that Takahiro Morita made for FESN. We had no idea what it was back then, but we showed up and we watched this hour and a half skate movie.
Yeah, it's very long, right? I saw it years ago, but
that's filmed all around the world, and that ends with this super iconic part from Go Miyagi, and then the Nakano headquarters video section with the crazy pool table thing. So we were at the premiere of this. It was a huge theater in Japan with like 1,000 people in there, like insane, freaking out, screaming. And I remember being there just like almost crying, being like, holy shit, skateboarding is insane. It's so beautiful. It can take so many different shapes. It's so interesting, you know, like, and I was especially fascinated back then already by how different styles can develop in different parts of the world, depending on the cultural and architectural backgrounds of skaters. Right. Being in Japan, watching this Japanese skate video, I really it really hit me strongly. Better. You know, I was like, damn, like skateboarding is infinite. Yeah. And actually, it's the most free thing you can do. Like it's just a tool that allows you to travel, to connect, but also to develop your own style and to be yourself and really like research who you are instead of trying to copy like what's happening already, or trying to, you know, be politically correct, which is what actually, unfortunately, a lot of skaters still do nowadays, but that's just part of it, you know. And this time, 2008, the premiere of Overground was a huge eye-opener for me. I remember going out of there and being like, I couldn't sleep for a few days. I was just like, damn, like skateboarding is insane. I really want to create, and since that day I became addicted to creating, to producing content, footage, and always researching, like, you know, this idea of who am I really, what do I want to say in skateboarding, what do I want to live, you know, in this culture, and who do I want to meet, who do I want to connect with, because, you know, there are so many different crews that are doing amazing, powerful, unique stuff in their own town, in their own countries. And since 2008 I've been obsessed, basically. How long did you stay in Japan? So I guess you went there multiple times, but at some point you even lived there for a bit, right? Yeah, so I went there 11 times. 11, wow. Yeah, I was trying to go there every year because actually, from this trip, we became friends with the Fat Bros crew. Who's also the skate shop Morita rides for. And so we started going like once or twice a year to build projects with Japanese skaters, and for us it was really a way to also get inspired and develop our own identity, especially in France or in Bordeaux. You know, it was even before Magenta for me. I was still like finding my style, figuring out what I wanted to do. You know, and for me, like Japan was really it gave me a strength to do that. You know. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I was going many times, and I actually became friends with many Japanese skaters who are super, super friendly, you know. And it's funny, by the way, because, you know, Japanese people don't really open their homes even to their own friends. Like in Japan, like you don't really go to your friend's house. But with skating, we would actually go and stay at people's homes for like weeks, months, you know, and just skate together every night and work on projects together and stuff. It was super sick. Yeah. And eventually, becoming friends with Morita like that, he offered me to skate for his clothing company, Libe, which is under FESN, and he invited me to come to Japan and stay at his second home, because he had a second home. And
I remember you talked about this in the Big Spin interview, right?
Yeah.
He's at least at that time he had a girlfriend with whom he was living. His wife.
They have a home, and he has another home.
Yeah, okay. Like a bachelor pad, kind of.
Maybe. Okay. But anyways, we went.
But it was useful for you.
It was wonderful. Yeah, he invited Lauren and I, so we went together. She got a job as an English teacher for little Japanese babies, like straight off the plane. And I was doing videos and skating with Morita and with his friends, and that was a great experience. Yeah, that's when we filmed actually his last video, his last full-length video. That's called Beyond the Broadcasting. That came out in 2020, and basically Morita asked me to film a part in 7 days. Wow. In 7 mornings, actually, only in Nakano, which is kind of a residential neighborhood in Japan, in Tokyo, which not many spots. It's mostly like streets and houses, you know. Mm-hmm. And his idea was that I would film a part being like completely free of anything I wanted to do, and only in this neighborhood. So his Shigeta, his filmer assistant, would wait for me at the Nakano train station at 5:55 a.m. every morning for 7 days. Okay. And we made it happen. We filmed that, and
I haven't seen this part. Yeah, I need to check it out. What did you say the name of the video?
It's called Beyond the Broadcasting. But you know what's with Japanese skaters? The thing is, they don't really put stuff online. Oh, okay. They like to produce DVDs and keep their video production kind of secret. Or mm-hmm. So a lot of people don't watch it. But if you want to know, you can know. You know, if you want to find out, you can.
I can order it online, maybe.
For sure, but it's just it's not like
on YouTube somewhere.
Not really.
Okay.
Some stuff are, but not a lot of Japanese stuff is not online. Yeah.
Okay. And how was it skating over there? I mean, it's probably difficult to generalize from all the experiences you've had over there, but how have you found skating over there compared to maybe California or Europe? I understand that you skated a lot during the nights, because I think in Japan, especially maybe in Tokyo, it's more difficult to skate during the day because you get kicked out a lot. Yeah. So, tell me about skating over there.
The first thing that I got really interested in Japan was the perception of Japanese skaters towards skating. They value the level of a skater more through style and personality and individual self-expression, right? More than on like doing hard, difficult, gnarly tricks. So it's more subtle. Mm-hmm. They value skateboarding also way more on the act of searching for spots, finding your own spots, building your own vibe or your own identity behind your skating. So all of that stuff was super inspiring, because that's something that really resonated with me, For sure. Something I wanted to do. It just seemed more natural with who I am and where I'm from and what I wanted to do in life, So I got really inspired by that, and I'm thankful for all the Japanese homies that I met for teaching me a lot. Mm-hmm. And other than that, the skating in Japan is hard. Yeah, you get kicked out a lot. You have to skate at night. You spend long nights outside in the streets, and you get chased by the police a lot. I ended up getting, I can tell you a little story, but one morning it was 6 a.m.
In Tokyo?
In Tokyo. Yeah. 6 a.m. we were filming, and one police car comes and they tell us we cannot skate. And I was the only foreigner. I was the only gaijin, like they say. Okay. I was only with Japanese skaters. I didn't have my passport with me because you're skating in Tokyo. You don't really want to keep your passport in your pocket. But they come and they start freaking out because I don't have my passport. And then another cop car shows up and another one. It's like 5 police cars like surrounding me. And they're all freaking out because I don't have my passport. And I was, I think, 50 minutes away driving from the apartment I was staying at.
Yeah. Okay.
And they decide to drive home, to drive where I'm staying. Okay. Just to check out my passport. Okay. So I'm like, damn, police in Japan, they really don't have much to do, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like a wall, like 4 or 5 cars driving me home.
Wow. Escorting you.
Escorting me back home. Actually, I was a little tired, so it was kind of nice to go home, you know? It's kind of like free taxi.
Yeah.
And so they take me back to the crib. And I remember when I opened the door, they all jump in the apartment, start searching, like looking under the couches, the pillows and stuff, try to look for drugs.
Okay.
And I kind of stood there and I'm like, guys, like you cannot do that, you know. I tell them this is not okay. And they all look at me, they apologize, and they leave the apartment
without even asking for your passport.
And they wait in front asking for the passport. So I'm like, this is weird. I get the passport, show the passport to the police officer, who was a lady. She looks at the passport and she sees that I'm French and she becomes super nice and she's like, oh, France, I love Mont Saint-Michel. And she tells me about Mont Saint-Michel, which is a place in France that Japanese people really like, you know. Yeah, that was this type of stories, you know, and you're just completely like so confusing. You're like, what's happening here?
So strange.
Yeah.
Yeah, it must be quite a cultural shock, I guess.
For sure.
I've never been, but it must be pretty fascinating.
But it's also super interesting on many other levels, you know, even with history, with you speak with all the Japanese people about World War II and what happened, you know, they don't have the same vision as us as Occidentals, you know, that's different. So that's very interesting. Gives you like, you can really take a step back and see your own culture, the American culture also like differently, you know.
Yeah, and it's interesting what you mentioned also that because you're a skateboarder, you were able to integrate the Japanese society, so to speak, more easily than if you were just a regular...
I mean, of course, as a skater, I feel like you get quicker, faster connected to local cultures. Just because you spend so much time in the streets, you know?
Yeah.
That makes sense. Like spending time outside, like watching what's happening, like interacting, talking with people. So, yeah, I think so.
We mentioned Magenta before. I wanted to ask you about how you started getting hooked up by them. And I think you were one of the very first writers with Vivien and Soy, who were the founders, I guess.
Right.
And you've become kind of, I want to say, the main face of Magenta, even though you're not the only writer, of course. There's a lot of incredible writers over there. But you've definitely been a driving force for the brand. So yeah, I wanted to ask you about how it started and how you've seen it evolve, because it's been 12 years. I just had Soy on the podcast recently.
Nice.
And
I hope it was funny.
Yeah. You'll listen to it, you'll see. But yeah, so I wanted to ask you, how has it been those last 12 years of skating for Magenta?
Yeah, so thankful for everything that happened. But yeah, basically, like I said, I was skating for Metropolitan for a couple years. Really good friends with David Coulio and everyone over there, you know, so I was super happy to be on board with this company. I really liked also the art direction and stuff. And then Soy calls me. I met Vivien and I knew Soy for a few years. Like, he already invited me to stay with him in Paris and really opened my eyes also on more like cruisy, free skateboarding, you know, where like you don't really have any rules. You can skate the way you want. And it's a lot about the connection with the city more than trying to do a harder trick than your neighbor, you know. So I was really into this and looking up to these guys. And Vivien, from the first day I met him, I understood he was a very smart cookie, you know. He was quite intelligent character. So yeah, one day Soy called me and he's like, hey, we're going to start this brand with Vivien. What do you say? Do you want to be part of it? So obviously I was honored, but I didn't know what I was getting myself into. Yeah. And then the brand started. They dropped this video called Microcosm. I filmed the part 4 and Vivien had a really cool part also. Soy had a fantastic part. And what I liked a lot about the video is that the video started with the friends section, which really, you know, made sense to me to like... give back to all the homies and you know. So yeah, and then I just it was a huge motivation for me to keep on traveling and doing projects for Magenta and developing the brand and helping them out with video contents and trips and connections also with other skaters and There are so many memories. We did so many insane trips from Australia to Dubai to all around Europe to America and Japan, and Magenta is just, for me, just the perfect fit, the perfect skate company, you know, like it's about being an individual, it's about expressing yourself. There is a strong artistic identity behind it, and also what I really like is that it's 100% street skating. Yeah, like you're never gonna see a footage outside of the streets in a Magenta video, you know, on the Magenta anything. You know, it's we perceive skateboarding as a game of the streets. You know, for us, skateboarding is about interacting with the streets, with the city, with the architecture, and that's how it has been. That's how it will be always. You know, so yeah. Yeah.
I think Soy told me that you helped, I don't know if you do it for every video, but that you help for editing a little bit.
Oh yeah, I love editing videos,
Right. So I wanted to ask you about that. Like, did you start editing when you started collaborating with them, or were you already editing videos? Or?
Not at the beginning, I wasn't editing. And then I realized the power that you have with images and how you can edit the same footage in many different ways, you know, and you can bring a different message with the way you edit some footage.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like editing videos, and I'm stuck to edit videos for Magenta. Some of the videos I like to edit were, for example, Just Cruise. I really liked editing Just Cruise because Just Cruise, like Zach Chamberlain came to Bordeaux with all the Magenta team, and he filmed a lot of atmosphere footage. He was not just filming skate tricks, like, so basically when editing Just Cruise, we had twice as many atmosphere clips than skate tricks. So it was really fun to edit because you can really like try to tell a story with all that stuff. It was really fun to edit or contribute to the edit of Soleil Levant. The video also was interesting, and Old Whoops New Groove also was a fun one to edit.
We'll talk about that newest project you're working on, but are you going to help with the editing of the next video?
Yes.
Okay. And so this is kind of a random question, but since we're on sponsors, I was just curious to ask you about your move to DC shoes. Yeah. Because you were skating with Adidas for a little bit.
For many years, actually.
Yeah. And so I wanted to know how did that switch happen, and how have you enjoyed skating with DC? Because you've been on quite some trips with them. You did a piece on Bordeaux, and we'll talk about your activism, if we can call it that, with the city officials here in Bordeaux.
Cool.
But yeah, tell me about getting sponsored by DC.
Yeah, it came very organically as well. You know, as you said, I was skating for another shoe brand for many years, and I just met Manu Labadi, who's the marketing manager for Europe, and he's just the best dude, you know. He's such a nice guy, and we became friends. And David Mano, who's also a photographer from Bordeaux, who's the legendary photographer in Bordeaux. Yeah, they kind of took me under their wings, you know, and it just felt more real, more local, more human, you know, like I felt like I had a closer relationship with them. And yeah, I really like, I mean, also DC is a company that comes from skateboarding, you know, so it's just made sense to represent a shoe company that comes from skateboarding, you know, and they've been doing some really cool stuff lately. I'm really stoked on all the documentary pieces that they've been producing. They really push the skateboarding culture by telling stories about what's happening in different contexts and different cities with different crews. When the guys came from the crew came from Los Angeles, the DC film guys came from LA to film the piece in Bordeaux about the skateboard sculptures and stuff. They, like, within a week they completely grasped and understand what was happening here, and they made a piece that I couldn't dream of a better piece, you know. So yeah, super happy how it's going on, and there are a lot more coming up in the future with them.
Oh yeah, cool.
So yeah, and now we got also, there is a cool thing happening in France, especially, I think, with David and Manu. They're really developing DC in Europe, but in France they're pushing people like my childhood friend Sergio Cadare.
Yes. Oh yeah, he recently had a great part.
Who picked up skateboarding again after he stopped for a few years, and he came back to Bordeaux. And we started skateboarding again, and I'm very happy to see him come up with some footage and being hooked up by a company like DC, you know. So yeah, shout out to all these guys, Sergio, Manu, Dave, everyone at DC. Thank you,
You mentioned iPath earlier, and I could see you on iPath because it kind of makes sense coming from your skating and your the way you skate. And when I think of DC shoes, or at least when I thought of DC shoes back in the day, or maybe 10 years ago or something, I associated it to the DC video. So super tech, gnarly skating from the East Coast or California, whatever. But like, so I wouldn't. At first, if someone had told me 10 years ago that you were going to skate for them, I would have been, oh, really? Like, that doesn't sound like a good match, so to speak. But now that they seem to have really evolved their image a lot and picked up writers like yourself or John Gardner in the States or other people.
John Gardner is amazing. Such a nice guy, too.
And really inspiring.
What he's doing with mental health and stuff is super cool. And by the way, DC made a super cool documentary piece about his work.
Right. So it's interesting how the brand is evolving and their image is changing a lot. And there's still some super tech gnarly skaters on there,
of course.
But there's also people that skate differently, like yourself or John or other writers. So
But I think that's part of a good brand is a brand that stays true to its roots, but still evolves and stay open-minded, you know?
So let's talk about skate urbanism. As I said, you grew up in Bordeaux. You lived abroad for quite a while. Traveled to the States a lot, to Japan a lot, like you said.
4 or 5 years abroad,
Yeah, and so you've been living in Bordeaux now for a while. You've become kind of a skateboarding ambassador, if you can call it that, of the city of Bordeaux. And you've definitely collaborated with the city a lot to create skatable areas, not skate parks, but like places that have like a curb or a specific skatable obstacle. So tell me about how you started, kind of taking this new role as a skateboarding ambassador, if I can call it that.
Well, it was a long process. But basically, skateboarding in Bordeaux used to be illegal for many years.
Right.
So most of the videos you see before 2017, 2018 were mostly skating at night in Bordeaux because during the day, the city cops were like in the streets during the day. They used to give us tickets, actual tickets, chasing us, giving us tickets, all that stuff. And the city was starting to invest in skate stoppers and stuff. So, but at the same time, there is a huge community in Bordeaux. Skateboarding is very present, very popular. You see on the docks of Bordeaux, you see skaters all day long, and there are many crews, different pros, skate shops like Riot Skate Shop, which is one of the biggest skate shop in Europe. Sugar Skate Mag is based in Bordeaux. There is a lot going on,
Yeah.
And the thing is, there was no communication whatsoever between skaters and the city, so the city, like most other cities, they believe that skateboarding belongs in a skate park and the streets is not okay.
Yeah.
And they thought by ticketing kids, ticketing skaters, and putting skate stoppers, it would work out. And after 10, 15 years, I think the situation came to a point where the residents that wanted skateboarding to be banned were getting more and more upset because we were skating at night a lot, and it was. And also, when you put a no skateboarding sign on a plaza, kids would come and skate, even like not in a bad way, but they would skate in a more hungry way, You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, it was complicated. It was conflictual. And I remember in 2017, this French news channel, they contact me and they're like, hey, do you want to come on TV live to talk about the economy of skateboarding in Bordeaux?
Okay.
And at first I'm like, hell no, I'm not interested. Bye-bye. I didn't want to go on TV to talk about skating. At first I was like in my underground bubble of like making
didn't want to be in
video
the spotlight.
parts and like skating at night and stuff, And then I remember I hang up the phone and I'm like, wait a minute, maybe that's actually a good way to talk shit about the city policy towards skateboarding and see what happens from there.
Yeah.
So I did that. I called these guys back. And I remember they're like, oh, yeah, you want to come and talk shit about the city? For sure. They love the buzz, So I went on TV, I said what I had to say. And 2 days later, I get contacted by the city elected. And they want to meet up. They want to do a first meeting.
Yeah.
And so we organized a meeting. I go with some of the skate representatives of the city of Bordeaux, like the local organization, the skate shops,
Yeah.
Vivian came with me as well. My friend Aurélien Gaucheran is a guy from here who was developing Darwin in Bordeaux. With indoor skate park and stuff.
Right.
He came as well. And the first meetings were insane. We ended up being at a round table with the electeds and the neighbors that complain about skateboarding. They invaded all the neighbors that complain about skateboarding.
Okay.
So very tense meetings, very complicated. The neighbors, they want skateboarding fully banned, and they have no solution whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I saw what happened in Montreal at Peace Park.
Oh yeah.
At Peace Park in Montreal, it's this famous skate plaza with granite ledges,
Uh-huh.
and the neighbors used to complain about skateboarding, and skaters would get tickets. And the skaters, they proposed time frames for this plaza,
Oh right. Yeah.
where skateboarding would be allowed again,
Okay.
in order to share this space, because it's public space, and
Mhm.
like making skateboarding illegal is never gonna work.
Yeah.
And so they're trying to find solutions so everyone can be happy.
Yeah. To make it more manageable. Yeah.
Right. And so I looked that up, and I contacted this guy, David Boots from Montreal,
Okay.
one of the main figure behind the time frames. And he wrote me a letter,
Mhm.
like explaining what happened and stuff and how he works. And then from there, we kept going, and the city of Bordeaux accepted to set up time frames on some of the problematic plazas. So
Okay.
I think it was like 5 or 6 plazas where people used to complain about skateboarding noise specifically, and where skaters used to get tickets. I think it was more than 1,000 tickets a year against skateboarding, back then.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
Mhm.
So from there, around the same time, we got really lucky because this architecture organization in Bordeaux, they wanted to organize a big exhibition about skateboarding and its relationship with space, with the city, and the cultural aspects of skateboarding.
Mhm.
And so we got to help with this exhibition, and we invited all the electeds and the neighbors, even the neighbors that complain about skateboarding.
Okay.
So we did a big gathering with skaters, people who don't like skateboarding,
Mhm.
city representatives and electeds.
Yeah. You
At
sat
the-
everybody around the table.
Yeah, and that was beautiful.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
great. Like I remember seeing neighbors who didn't like skateboarding coming to this and being like, "Wow, like you guys actually have a beautiful culture."
Yeah, yeah.
kind of changing their mind.
Yeah.
And I realized I was like, damn, when you put skateboarding in a cultural context, people change the
they
perception
understand
they
it
have
better.
of it.
Yeah.
And at the end of this exhibition, I got to debate with Alain Juppé, who's ex-prime
The
minister
mayor-
of France
Oh yeah.
and
Mhm.
mayor of Bordeaux back
Mhm.
then. From then, they asked Arnaud Dedieu and I to work on consulting for some of the urban projects.
Okay.
We started doing cultural events with the local organization called Bordeaux, and also with Darwin. And yeah, I think there is a whole creative process happening where now basically the city is down to work with us and make projects happen, and they understood that making skateboarding illegal and putting skate stoppers is not a solution,
Yeah.
and that we also have our word to say that also skateboarding can be positive for the
Yes.
city.
Exactly.
It can be a positive
Mhm.
outlet for a public space. It can bring life. It can bring it's social activity. It's just something that can be great. Also, you shouldn't
Everybody
only,
benefits from it.
Yeah, you shouldn't only perceive it as something negative, even if you don't skate and you're from a different generation.
Mhm.
And yeah, I'm really stoked on what happened. And since then, we've been able to build many projects. Yeah.
We were talking about this also right before we started recording, but there's actually right now there's an installation of skatable obstacles in Bordeaux, Toronto, and Malmö.
Yeah.
And you're one of the persons that have initiated this, and you told me that you've been doing this pretty much every year, trying to build a new spot, so to speak, even though it's a temporary spot. And but tell me about doing those, and maybe the more recent one that's going on right now.
So basically, the work that I'm doing with the city now takes 3 different shapes.
Mm-hmm.
First one is basically mediation. How to communicate about skateboarding to the general public, how to find solutions in order to make public space shareable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
For example, currently we are working with the local organization and the city on a Bordeaux skateboarding guide.
Okay.
And the idea is to take out all the no skateboarding signs that can still remain in town, and instead have recommendations for spots.
Okay.
And not have skateboarding being illegal, but have skateboarding being understood and talked about, so everybody can live together in these spaces,
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first part. It's a lot about communication and mediation.
Yeah.
The second part is actually developing skate-friendly public spaces on the long term.
Mm-hmm.
So we can usually what we're trying to do is to have a public space that can integrate skateboarding in a subtle way. So it doesn't look like a skate park, but it can be by adding skatable furniture that can also be shareable with other city users.
Okay.
It can be by remodeling a public plaza that's kind of like neglected, and with actually a little bit of money, you can make it a great skate spot, you know. And the third type of action that we do is ephemeral public art shows or public sculptures that are skatable, but that can also be used for other public city
purposes.
uses.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
So it's been 3 years now that we develop a skatable sculpture project, and I want to make this a tradition in Bordeaux, you know, every summer to have a new public sculpture project. It started with a project called Play. That's the project the DC crew made a documentary about, actually. So I did that with my friend designer Nicolas Malinowski with the local organization. Arnaud de Dieu was part of it as well. And what we did was we designed a route with a bunch of skatable objects with the same color code. And we set up those skatable sculptures around town and mostly on iconic public spaces. And yeah, it's a good way to communicate. I think for the general public, it's great because they see skatable objects in public space that are permitted to skate, and they understand that skateboarding doesn't only belong in skate parks. Okay. You know. Yeah. And it's great. And also, I'm very happy because every time we do a project like this, I'll see all the kids and all the local skaters that are really stoked to have new stuff to skate in town. Yeah. So yeah, basically we did Play in 2019. Then 2020 nothing happened, unfortunately, because of COVID. But 2021 we did another project called Bon Voyage, and this was a way to create bridges with other cities that also want to develop a skate-friendly policy. And for this, we sent our sculptures to Malmö, to Skate Malmö and Gustav Eden. We sent them the Play sculptures, and Malmö sent us their sculptures. Okay. So it was an exchange of sculptures. Right. And it was great because in both towns, everybody had new spots to skate. And it was a way also to, as I said, to create bridges between our two cities, you know, and help each other. And this year we went a little further. We contacted an artist that we really like, a French artist who's based in Berlin called Pierre Descamps, who's usually building and setting up illegal skatable obstacles in Berlin. And this time we asked him to design 3 skatable sculptures that will be reproduced in the cities of Bordeaux, Toronto, and Malmö. Right. And the idea is to study how the same objects are going to live differently in 3 different contexts. You know, how are they going to be skated by the locals and so on, and what else happens? You know, for example, we set up one of the obstacles on the Watermure, the Miroir d'Eau in Bordeaux, which is the most visited place in Bordeaux actually. So everybody sees it. And when I go in the afternoon, I see a bunch of tourists or people sitting on the sculpture, or even drying their towels on the sculpture. And I mean, I could be pissed, you know, I could be like, damn, we can't skate. But actually, I'm stoked because we are doing something that can take different uses, and even sometimes stuff we didn't even imagine, you know. So yeah. So, talking about Malmö, and there's definitely a lot of links between Malmö and Bordeaux. And a few years ago, Arnaud de Dieu, who you mentioned and who I had on the podcast about a year ago, he started a school called Shifty, which was greatly inspired by Brigeriets in Malmö. But Brigeriets is a high school, and Shifty is, I don't know how you said, post-grad course. It's after you graduate from high school. But you've actually been involved with them at least the last couple of years. I don't know if you're still involved with them for the year to come, but I wanted to ask you how has it been collaborating with Arnaud and with the students, and what kind of is your role over there? Are you like a mentor? Are you giving classes on skate urbanism? Like how do you talk to these people over there? Well, we went to Malmö for Pushing Borders a couple of years ago with Arnaud. And I remember he got really interested in Brigeriet and everything that was happening in Malmö. Malmö has been very progressive and doing a lot of stuff before anyone else, you know. But Arnaud started this school, Shifty. And I guess I was the ambassador for the first year. Like the godfather, le parrain, like le parrain, or the I guess ambassador, or that's how you would say. Like last year was Benjamin Debert, the ambassador. Photographer. Yes, and basically I've been just super supportive with Arnaud's project, and I've been also teaching some classes about skateboarding culture or video editing or some stuff about skate urbanism as well, about skateboarding and health also.
All right, yeah.
So
we'll get into that, yeah. Okay. This is kind of a random question, but I was interested in this because I used to work in the wine industry, as you know, and I saw not too long ago, a few months or maybe a year ago, you did a photo shoot in Saint-Emilion.
Oh yeah, with David Manot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think it was at a famous Bordeaux castle called Château La Fleur de Bois.
Yes.
And so I wanted to ask you, how did this happen? Because when I saw it, I was like, what the hell is Leo doing in like a wine cellar, like doing a power slide between wine barrels or something? It was kind of funny to see you in this context. And I just wanted to ask you about
that was a funny day. Yeah, I mean, they just invited us to come and skate and shoot some photos there.
Okay.
So of course we were down. I mean, it's super classic buildings and very French architecture, and we're always super down to make it as local and like
authentic
as possible. Mm-hmm. And that was a great invitation. We went and we spent a day shooting in Saint-Emilion and in the chateaus and. The
ground must have been pretty bad. I think in Saint-Emilion it's a lot of.
Actually, they had some pretty decent floor.
Oh, okay.
Not everything, but
Then I tried to understand, like, why would they have someone like you come over there? But I guess because they know that you're a famous pro skater in France, and probably most of the people that follow you on Instagram, for example, are like younger skaters who will eventually become wine drinkers in the future.
Yeah.
And possibly if you kind of recommend wine or whatever, maybe you become sort of like an influencer, so to speak.
I mean, surely their idea was definitely to get a younger audience.
Right.
But yeah, we were down. We're always down to try some weird
something
stuff,
new.
Especially with David. With David Manot, we're always down to try some weird experiments. So.
Okay. Let's talk a bit about like health. We talked about your wife, Lauren. She's a yoga teacher, and you've been doing a lot of yoga with her. And you designed basically a skateboarding yoga program for skaters who want to perhaps reinforce certain parts of their body that could be more severely impacted by skateboarding. So tell me about starting yoga and how you've started eventually doing this program with Lauren.
Yeah, so basically I would say about 10 years ago, I started to feel pretty tired after skate trips, around age 25 or something. Just really sore, back pains and growing pains and stuff. And luckily Lolo, she studied holistic health at the University of San Francisco.
Uh-huh.
And she's also a yoga teacher.
Mm-hmm.
So I started getting interested in the stuff she was doing, and I started practicing yoga.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, it's only a few years ago that I got really into it, because for me it was a little bit foreign at first and hard to get into. But during COVID lockdown, I decided to do a full year of yoga, like 365 days of yoga. And that was incredible, at least even like just learning how to breathe correctly, you know, and bringing that to skateboarding.
Mm-hmm.
I realized that I could skate much longer. I wouldn't be as sore after skating and stuff. And just learning the right stretches, the right, just health in general for skateboarding. Also, nutrition, food became something I got interested in.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we decided with Lauren, to propose a yoga class specifically for skateboarding. So we joined forces and we wrote a program, a yoga program that would be fully adapted to the practice of skateboarding.
Right.
And we've been giving yoga lessons. It's called Namaskate.
Right,
which is funny.
Mm-hmm.
And we are launching our first teachers training program
during a weekend, right?
In October.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to be doing this now because we noticed that there are so many skate coaches, skate teachers that know nothing about health, about stretching, about warming up before skateboarding and stuff. So we decided to launch this program, and it's exciting. We're launching the first one in October, and it's already full.
Oh yeah, cool.
So but I think that's another part of actually with skateboarding there are so many different topics that gravitate around skateboarding and that make it so rich, and from like architecture to urbanism to design to photo to video to editing to art to health. So
for sure. So if I came or any skater came to a yoga class, what are basically the moves that he or she would need to do to be able to skate better or longer? Like what are there certain parts of the body where you try to focus on, or like what how did you design this program?
It would be a mix of mobility exercises, stretching,
right,
and strengthening exercises.
Okay.
Because I believe in yoga, you have the right balance between strengthening and becoming more flexible.
Yeah. Okay.
And so there is a lot about the ankles, how to strengthen your ankles.
Yeah,
that's very important. A lot about the groins, the psoas, the knees, the back, especially the lower back.
Yeah.
I know so many of my friends have back problems.
For sure, yeah.
And I know by doing yoga every day,
it helps a lot.
I used to have back pain. If I do yoga every morning, even a little bit when I wake up, no back pain at all.
Okay. Yeah,
so,
cool.
Yeah, and then the breathing and being more relaxed and more focused on what you're doing.
Yeah.
I think yoga helps with that as well.
Sure, yeah. So you've definitely changed your way of skating, I guess, from doing all this yoga. As you mentioned the breathing and everything, but probably at this point it has become normal to you. But did it take a bit of time, maybe, to integrate this yoga practice?
You need to it's a practice. It's like everything, you know.
Yeah.
It takes a little while, but actually you get into it really quickly. And the breathing is amazing. You realize how you can actually like relax yourself. Like if you start stressing out for no reason about something, like. Or even like you just automatizing healthy breathing, it's super good. Yeah. And so if someone who's listening to this is an older skater, like in his 30s or 40s, what would you kind of recommend to be able to continue skating? Not necessarily jump over a huge set of stairs, of course, but to be able to just at least go skate curves or just have fun on your skateboard. So yoga is definitely an important part for you, but what other like advice could you give out? Well, yoga, stretching every day a little bit. Okay. When you wake up is very good. Is it better to do it when you wake up than later in the day? That's what I experienced, yeah. Okay. It's just a great start of the day, you know. So stretching your back and your ankles and your hips every day is great. And then what you eat is obviously super important. So are you super selective drinking water? Yeah. I'm not crazy selective. I'm not like no. You're not vegan or you're not. No, I eat meat. I eat everything. But it's about finding the right middle and you know eating enough vegetables. Obviously, yeah. Eating meat I think is great. I love to eat meat, but and I try to avoid alcohol and stuff as much as possible. As well. We talked about that earlier. Yeah. I drink alcohol. I like to drink a fresh beer after a session, but just not too much, not every day. You know. I think anything in excess is bad, you know. Eating chocolate every day is bad, you know. Yeah. Everything in moderation. For sure. We're going to wrap it up pretty soon, but I wanted to ask you also about, this summer kind of, because you've been skating a lot with Sergio Santoro from Brazil. Yeah. You actually went on a trip to Rio a few months ago. I don't remember when it was, during the spring maybe, or end of the winter, right? And he actually came here with some other skaters and everything. And you've been to Marseille. You were recently in Strasbourg. Yeah. And you're filming now for the new Magenta video, which should come out, I guess, maybe end of the year or early next year. Just Cruise 2. Right, exactly. So tell me about how has this summer been and what kind of projects are you working on? It's been incredible. This summer has been so beautiful. Also, maybe because I became a father and it's, about a year ago, my wife was pregnant and I was freaking out. To tell you the truth, I was just like kind of scared, Scared of how it was going to affect your life? Or you don't know what to expect. You hope you're going to be good enough for this. And, it's just a big change. Yeah, for sure. And it happened. We got a beautiful little daughter. And it's just the best thing in the world. It gives you so much motivation to try and be the best version of yourself. Oh, yeah. So for me, it's been a great year. And it gave me even more motivation to keep doing projects and produce skateboarding content and travel and connect with more people. Actually, I was wondering if it would be, but actually it is a great motivation. And I went to decided to go to Rio, organize this trip in Rio with my friend Rémi Luciani, who's a filmer from Nice. Right. And we went with Ben Koppel.
Yes, roller surfer.
Roller surfer, who's a good friend.
Incredible skater as well.
Yeah, very fun one. Super nice guy. And Clément Arpilla, who's a photographer and a good homie as well. Very funny guy. Especially in Rio, you should have seen Clément with his Parisian style in Rio. It was just too good to be true.
Okay.
And we went there and had the best time. Rio was just beautiful. And we called this little trip movie Monstro de Rio. And we got really good feedbacks on this because it was supported by Solo and also by DC. And so we got to organize art shows and video premieres, and we had an article in Solo and stuff.
You went to Berlin to premiere it, right?
Yeah. They organized a premiere and an art show in Berlin.
And one in Bordeaux as well.
And so I got many requests for making this a series. So I think I'm going to try and make this a series every year with a new destination. So it could be Monstro Day something. It can be basically anywhere. And every year I want to bring more like-minded individuals, skaters to this. To
an exotic location.
We'll see. There are just so many we can do, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so that was one fun project. And then Just Cruise 2 should come out probably early 2023. So the idea of Just Cruise is to film in France, focus on where Magenta is based, and have most of the team come to France and skate together. And most of the team came to Marseille. We went to Strasbourg, we went to Toulouse, filmed a lot in Bordeaux as well. Some of the crew went to Paris, and just such a beautiful reunions, you know, such great melting pots of just mix of people and great creative individuals like meeting up and having fun and skating together. And I like how everybody brings his little flavor to the mix and you mix something
special.
Cool, So we're working on this, and I think Vivian is pretty excited to make Just Cruise 2 because Just Cruise 1 was a special project for us. He's been motivating me to film a bunch of new ideas. So I'm trying to come up with some new stuff for this, you know. So
and you just released a part apart from the Monstro de Rio piece. You released a part not too long ago. Like
for another Magenta tapes. There was another Magenta video where everybody was supposed to film a part at home since it was COVID and everyone was kind of stuck at home. But Just Cruise 2 is quite excited for that one, and I saw that everybody was super motivated when they came to France, and I know Vivian is filming a super sick part. He's going to have a big part in this. So it's just exciting. It's motivating to give your best and really like keep on finding spots and finding new trick ideas and stuff, and then find how to do the right trick on the right spot and stuff. And you know, I have so much respect for skaters who really look for spots, search for spots and find their own spots, even find stuff that nobody skated before and stuff. It's kind of rare nowadays, you know, but still exists. And when I see someone like Ruben Spelta, who came from Milan, pro for Magenta now, is
incredible style.
Super good style. He's been coming to Bordeaux a lot and then bringing his flavor to the city, finding his own little spots to skate and stuff. It gets me super stoked.
That's amazing. So this video should come out early next year, and
I think so.
And so
right now we're stacking. We're filming. Sergio Santoro and Mike Mag came from Brazil. They've been staying in Bordeaux the whole summer.
I think they're in Barcelona now, or at least
Sergio is in Barcelona. Mike is still in the area. They really liked Bordeaux. I think it was fun to see them.
It's gonna settle down here.
They just didn't want to leave, really, you know. But they're super like creative, unique individuals. So quite excited for Just Cruise 2.
Cool. Yeah, me too. I look forward to seeing it for sure. Okay, well, we can wrap it up here with the friends questions, if that's okay with you. This first one is from, we mentioned him, John Gardner.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, he asked me to ask you about your first experience at an American theme park.
Oh my God.
Because I think you went to an American theme park with him maybe a year ago or something, right? Or
yes.
I don't remember when, but yeah. So tell me about that.
So actually last time we came to America with our newborn baby, with Lauren. The DC headquarters, they were having this little end of the year reunion.
Right.
Where they go somewhere with all the staff, you know. And this time they were going to an amusement park.
Theme park.
With giant roller coasters.
Okay.
Insane. And I've never been to one.
Okay.
You know, I was... and
really?
So,
not in France?
No,
okay.
I've never been to one.
Okay.
And so John and these guys, they invited me to go. So I went, and it was the first time I met a bunch of the DC US staff there as well, you know, and Martin Forbes was there, one of the filmer, really nice guy from DC Film.
Right.
And those guys were super confident. Some of this stuff are insane. Just like going up completely straight and then down completely straight again.
Yeah, okay.
I thought I was gonna die. And they have some pretty funny photos, you know, where they take the photos of
the reactions.
I'm green, dude. I'm just like, oh, what's happening to me?
Yeah, that must have been pretty
traumatic.
traumatic.
A nice first experience. And John was so nice. He was just reassuring me the whole time. And John is such a great individual, dude.
He looks like a rad dude, yeah.
Super nice guy. If you can do an interview with him one day.
I'd love to, yeah. I've actually reached out, and hopefully it will happen sometime.
Okay.
Yeah, I would love to have him on.
He's a good
for
one,
sure. Yeah. All right, this next one is from another American guy and a Magenta teammate, Jimmy Lannon.
Oh.
So he said,
I love Jimmy.
Yeah, rad
I
skater
love Jimmy.
as well.
Such a good human.
So he asked, what do we call the one-footed power slide under a car? I was like, what the hell is that?
I guess a one-footed power slide under a car? I don't know. What do you call that, Jimmy? I don't know.
Is there a story or something? What?
Not really. I think I did this first in Japan, skating in traffic around Tokyo and just learning how to drift. Because I was going to San Francisco a lot, and I got really into like long backside power slides down the hills. Just feels like surfing. It feels so good. And then I was doing them one-footed with the foot sliding on the ground, and then under the car. I don't know if there is I don't really.
There isn't a name for that.
I don't think so.
The Léo Valls slide? Or?
I don't really like to give names to some of the stuff I do. But yeah, it happens. Actually, people ask me sometimes, like when I do a trick that don't really have a name, you know? Oh, do you call that? I'm just like, I don't know. But one-footed power slide sounds pretty right, I think.
All right, this one is a audio one.
What up, bro? How you doing? First of all, I want to say hi to Lo and Sunny. And I have a question for you. So how do you go from being a pro skateboarder and not having kids to have one? And how do you manage your time? And how do you make the switch to be like not having kids to have one? And I think you can help a lot of like young dad out there like who do skateboarding, and a lot of people can relate to you because it's a lot of responsibilities to do that. So let me know though. Let us know, bro. Talk to me.
I love this guy. I love Sergio.
Sergio Cadare.
I met Sergio when I was 13 years old. First day I met him, he was an inspiration. Such a positive guy, always screaming at every trick that someone lands, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Just so much energy.
Hype man. Yeah.
Hype man, yeah. I love Sergio.
Great skater. We mentioned his part. I saw it a few days ago. It was really rad. Yeah,
really he's
cool.
Awesome. But yeah, good question, Sergio.
So, parenthood,
Sergio has been seeing this change. You know, he's been super supportive with me when I became a dad, and it's true that it can be a little bit overwhelming. You know, the first, the last, again, like I said, the last few weeks of pregnancy and the first weeks of life are very intense. There is a big change, and I feel like as a human, you cannot change biologically. You know.
No,
it's like
sure.
your whole system just changes. But how do you manage? I mean, honestly, it's so much love to have a kid that you're just like so focused on giving your best, you know, that I feel like it happens organically. And for me, the time I have with my baby is such quality time that I need to have now. And when I have time to go skate or do other stuff or work on projects, I'm just even more motivated and focused, you know, because I know this time is more special now, you know what I mean? So, I think, how do you manage to do it? You just go with the flow of being a father, you know, and when you're not with your kid, you give your best, basically.
Yeah. Okay, this next question is from David Manot. So he asked it in French, but I'm going to try to translate it. So he said, can you tell us about your first encounter with a babuino? And what is its specificity, kind of? So what the hell is a babuino?
It's a little monkey. It's just David and we have a lot of inside jokes, you know?
Okay, yeah.
So I don't know.
Is that a nickname you give to each other or something?
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
But
Okay.
with David is hilarious. He's a very funny guy, and we went on trips a lot together, like shooting photos, spending so much time in the streets together,
Right.
battering tricks and stuff. So many stories happened, you know. That yeah, we have ways to laugh. And his question doesn't really make any sense, honestly. It just is like
Just
to
a
make
funny,
just a funny
yeah,
thing that
wink.
it just knows it's gonna make me smile. You know?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
first encounter with a baboon. Seriously, David.
Okay. This one is audio as well.
Hey Leo, hope you're doing good. So here's a question from Mama. You being a skateboarder that has a very personal and distinctive style, something that I think is very rare today, where we're also overflooded with impressions and it's harder and harder to create something that's unique to you. You've managed that, and I think that's super cool. So the question is, how important do you think it is to create your own way of skating that's personal and distinctive to you, and also do things that relate to the environment that you are in? Well, hope to see you here soon and do some power slides with me at the plaza. Come through. Cheers.
Is that Tom?
Tom Botwood, yeah.
Nice, I love Tom.
Yeah, rad skater.
We worked on a
Film
little video
trucks
part for
part?
film,
Yeah.
for Jeremy.
Mm-hmm.
And it was rad to go see him in Copenhagen and Malmö and skate together. But yeah, I mean, he's for me, it's since I believe skateboarding is a way of expression.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important often to go back to the roots and to question yourself on why do you love skateboarding so much, and where you're from, who you are really, you know, and what can you bring to the table with your skateboarding. So all
Right.
these questions I think are really relevant.
Yeah.
And that's questions I've been asking myself for many years, and I still ask myself basically all the time, you know. And I think just being honest with your skateboarding is the most important. Trying to be something you're not just because that's what the industry is pushing, or that's what's politically correct, is to me is not worth it. To me, if you want to really like bring something to the table to the long term, you know, to a bigger scale, if you unzoom, you know, if you want to bring something to the table, you have to be yourself 100%. And that comes from who you are, what you really love deeply in you, who inspires you as well, from all the people you've met or all the stuff that you love, and also everything that you love that gravitates around skateboarding that you can bring to your skateboarding. There is so much inspiration to take from so many different practices or art forms, or you know, that you can bring to your skateboarding.
Yeah. I think that's definitely something super important for him as well, through his skating and his brand.
Of course, for me that's what makes me happy actually. When I do something that I know represents me, that's what makes me happy. And skateboarding is supposed to make me happy. You know?
Yeah, it's the whole point. Yeah.
And I mean, when people are stoked on it, it makes me happy, but that's not what I care about. You know, like.
Yeah. This one is from Louis Araki.
Oh, legend. He's coming to Bordeaux next month to film for Just Cruise 2.
Oh, nice.
He's going to have footage,
Yeah. So he asked a pretty simple but interesting question. Until what age do you want to skateboard?
All my life.
Yeah, I figured you were going to say that.
All my life. Yeah. I think you can skate for, especially if you
take care of yourself.
Especially if you take care of yourself. Do it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I hope. We'll see what happens. But I hope I can skate until forever. And when I see people like Gons who still have amazing style and stuff, you know,
Tony
like,
Hawk, or
for sure. Louis is, I believe Louis is 45 or 46.
Okay.
And I'm impressed by people who, you know, there are a lot of skateboarders who are still good after a certain age, you know, after 40 and stuff. Yeah. But there are not, like, only a few, I believe, who still keep a very flowy, smooth style. You know,
because you become a bit more rigid, I guess.
I think a lot of skaters become more rigid or more heavy or more stiff. And some people keep their smoothness, you know, their flow, their lightness on the board. Louis Araki is part of them. Louis Araki with his no slide pop out and stuff. Chico Brenes, you know Chico Brenes?
Yeah, of course.
He still have this amazing flow.
Yeah.
It's super impressive. He's more than 45, I believe, and he still have this crazy like lightness on his feet when he skates, you know?
There's a lot of skaters that are over 40 that are still skating incredibly. Like Guy Mariano has been
insane,
killing it, and I hope he's going to release a part someday. But like every time I see a clip of him, I'm like, what the fuck? This guy's like 46 and he's still incredible.
But I think before anything, it's about keeping the passion alive.
Yeah, exactly.
Skating a lot and adapting also.
Yeah.
look at what Jeremy Daclin is doing. It's amazing what he's
yeah.
doing with all these new slappy tricks that
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
learning all the time, and
Mhm.
it's beautiful to witness, you know.
Yeah. Okay, next question is another audio one.
Yo Leo, it's Fugs. I have one question for you. Have you ever been compared to a famous politician, guys, like Georges Pompidou or Mao Zedong? Yo!
Fugs is just the best, dude. I've been loving
when I
filming with
received
him.
I was like, what the hell?
Oh my god, he's so
What's that
funny.
noise in the end? I'm not
He's
sure.
acting like a piggy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But Fugs is so good, man. He's this upcoming filmer in Bordeaux, and he filmed
Your
a lot
latest
of
part.
Magenta tapes. And
Really well filmed. I really enjoyed
he's
that
so
part.
good.
It was very creative in the filming for sure.
yeah, and
Very
he's
interesting.
filming a lot of the Just Cruise 2 video also.
Cool.
It's cool. He's got these VX angles,
Mhm.
but right now he's filming with an HD camera, but really like trying to get these VX angles. It's pretty exciting.
Cool.
But this question, yes, it's something that always makes me laugh. And I mean, sure, I have the same name as an ex.
Manuel Valls. Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
A politician in France who I
former-
really dislike actually. But yeah, Valls is it's actually a Catalan name.
Oh yeah.
Very
Okay.
popular in Catalonia.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
Dupont or Durand in France. You know,
Mhm,
there are a lot of Valls in Catalonia.
Okay.
So my family is actually from Catalonia
Okay.
originally. So yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I've been compared to this politician, and actually I can tell you a story. But one time, I think it was 2015 or 2016,
Mhm.
when the police used to give tickets in Bordeaux.
Yep.
I got stopped by the police, and they wanted to give me a ticket. And back in the day, this politician, he was the chief of
Prime
police,
Minister?
the
Or-
minister
oh,
of
the minister
of police.
Yeah,
Yes. And when the police asked me for my name to give me a ticket, I
Oh yeah.
told my name, and they all looked at each other like, "Oh shit."
Mm.
And then I said, "Yeah, he's my uncle." I went for it. I said, "Yeah, he's my uncle."
And they bought it. They thought it was
They
true.
thought it was true,
Oh,
and they
wow.
didn't give me the ticket. They all got scared, and they let me go. So
So whenever it's useful, you can say you're his nephew.
Yes.
That's pretty funny. Okay, let's do this one.
Salut Léo, tu défends
Hi,
depuis
Leo.
des années et tu
You've
fais
been
des
defending and practicing essentially street skateboarding, which I find to be very specific to you.
contests, aucun
Neither
souci.
contests nor skate parks ever.
Toi, tu vois un
Do you see a way to socially or architecturally save skate parks?
les skateparks, est-ce que tu vois qu'il y a un
Do you feel that something could be done to make them more appealing to you, or not at all?
Pierre Descamps, bien sûr. Well, yeah, he's right, and that's because for me, skateboarding is, again, like I said that earlier, but it's a game, a relationship with the streets.
Right.
That's my perception of it, so I stick to this because for me that's one of my message, you know.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean I'm against skate parks. And of course, I believe, for example, for a city like Bordeaux, when we do mediation for the streets and we create street skate spots with the
Yep.
city, I believe we also need a skate park
Yeah.
because especially the kids, they need a place to learn
Yeah.
and to feel safe and an environment. You know, like doesn't mean the streets are not safe, but it's just
Yeah.
important to
Mhm.
have this. I believe it's complementary.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
so you need both.
Mhm.
And yes, of course, there are ways to make skate parks better. Skate
Mhm.
parks can be so much better. A lot of skate parks could be so much better. A lot of skate parks now cost a lot of money, a lot of public money to cities, and they could be so much better in how they are made, you know.
Yeah.
And for this, what I believe is that the material that we use in skate parks could be better, and the way skate parks are being built could also be more mixed, you know, more in a way that skate parks are more like a public space.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
also a skate park, but and more mixed in the urban landscape. So I think this thing is happening right now. It's evolving this
Yeah.
way.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think skate parks could be integrated in a better way in the urban landscape of cities.
Okay. Okay, let's see. I think I still have just a few. The last ones are audio again.
Nice. I love those. This is cool.
Hi guys, my name is Julian Januszkiewicz. I live in Bordeaux and I have made all the Bordeaux exposures videos. So here is my question, Leo. Since you started to skate and doing all your different activities, what are you most proud of?
Damn. Julian is a good one too. I love this guy.
Yeah.
It's incredible. You know, Julian is a chemist. He works in Switzerland.
Oh, really?
All
No,
week.
I didn't know that. Okay.
And in the weekend, he comes back to Bordeaux and he films his friends and he's making these local videos.
yeah, he's a
Bordeaux
really good
exposure.
skater. Yeah, yeah.
Really good skater as well.
Yeah.
He's great.
Mm-hmm.
Really good friends of
Mhm.
mine. But what am I the most proud of? Sure, I guess making projects with my friends, and making stuff that we can all be proud of, So, making videos with Julien, for example, I'm super proud of this. Even though it's not for like a company, it's not something that's gonna, like bring money to anyone. Like, it doesn't matter. That stuff I'm proud of for sure. Yeah, so this, and also all the great people I get to meet through skateboarding with like overseas, like in Japan, in America, all that stuff. That's something that gets me really proud. So it's mostly about like all the friendships, the community, and being part of this community, and helping out and pushing the community and skateboarding in what I hope and what I see is the right direction.
For sure.
Again, it goes back to the roots a lot. Why do I love street skateboarding so much? And I'm exclusive to street skateboarding because that's the essence, That's how skateboarding was born. Skateboarding was born in the streets. Skateboarding was done in the streets for so long, and that's an art form that I want to help pursue,
Keep pushing it.
Yeah.
All right, this one is from Nicola Malinovsky. You mentioned him earlier. Okay, so he said, can you tell us about your love for grounds with original graphic patterns and how it brings something special in a video?
That question comes from a designer.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, basically, growing up in Bordeaux, we had lots of marble floor and cool pattern floors too in galleries and stuff. And I think I developed power slide tricks because of this environment I had growing up, like all this marble floor, the Rue Sainte-Catherine in Bordeaux, that's very popular for the marble and the power slides and stuff. So for me, it just came naturally to develop and learn these tricks depending on the environment I had around me. But yeah, cool patterns on floor just makes it even more exciting, and especially when filming. If you film a line with the VX 1000 on cool like pattern floor, it just looks faster and cool, and
adds
again,
even more flavor to the footage.
It brings so much more flavor. For me, like when I film a trick, the environment, the way the spot will look like, the streets, the people that are around the tricks too. That for me, it's 50% of the clip. It's just as important as the trick itself, you know what I mean?
It just brings me to a question, but do you, like if you find a spot with a graphic floor like this, do you select some clothes or something that you feel will
sometimes
work better for the footage?
Sometimes we go this far, yes.
Yeah,
It happened for sure. I mean, it's something you think about. Just think about it. If you film a line at night and it's dark, if you put a black t-shirt, it's not going to look as good as a white t-shirt, for example.
Yeah.
But then in other contexts, like you want to skate this ledge in front of a red window, and if you put a red jacket, it's going to stand out. It's going to pop out,
Yeah.
So it's a little bit geeky, but we go this far for sure.
Yeah. I have two last questions, and then we'll be done. This one, I haven't checked this one. I just got it an hour ago from a friend of yours, so we're going to listen to it together.
Hey Leo, so ever since the first video I saw of you, I fell in love with your fun style and amazing power slides. I was wondering, when did your inspiration for power slides start? Like how did you start doing so many cool power slides? And what was your biggest influence to start them? Much love, my friend. Already missing you.
Sergio Santoro.
Yes. Exactly.
Well, I feel like I kind of answered that in the last answer, but yeah, again, he came from skateboarding in Bordeaux, and skating with all these marble floors, and then living in San Francisco, skating the hills, and learning how to power slide in between tricks and stuff. And then going to Japan, skating with Morita too. He was doing a lot of power slides, and he just made that legit, And I love when people are like skating with Morita. Really opened my eyes to, like understanding how cool it is to be able to break the rules of what's politically correct in skateboarding, and like feels like sometimes like medias are telling you like, oh, this is the way you're supposed to do this trick, or this is the way you're supposed to skate to be cool nowadays. But for me, it's if you're doing the opposite, if you're doing something that's not cool at this moment, is what's cool, you know what I mean?
And something that makes you feel good.
For sure. And that's something that makes you feel good personally, for sure.
All right, very last question.
Hi Lele, it's Lolo and Sunny. And my question for you is about our daughter. So you discovered skateboarding when you were an adolescent, and she's discovering it through you at a very early age. And if she does decide to skateboard in the future, what do you hope skateboarding can bring to her? What life lessons do you think that skateboarding can pass on to the future generation? There you go. That's my question.
Nice.
I thought this would be a good conclusion.
Oh, for sure. Beautiful. Yeah, well, it's funny because Sunny she really already loves skateboarding. You can tell.
Yeah.
When I put her on the board, she gets super excited.
Yeah, big smile on her face.
So I mean, obviously, she sees skaters every day, you know. So she's gonna be influenced by that.
Yeah.
And if she wants to skate, I'll be stoked. If she doesn't want to skate, of course, I will never force her to do anything.
Of course. Yeah.
But if she does, what I hope is gonna bring to her is just an open mind.
Mm-hmm.
You know, skateboarding opens your mind to the world, to other people, to other cultures, and it just makes you want to go towards people. I mean, at least that's my experience. You know, it made me want to go towards people, made me want to go see the world, made me want to go meet other communities around the world and understand how they live. Why do they do this like this? Why do they skate this way? You know, and for me, it's just a great way to connect and to make your own soul more rich. You know, so I hope that's what skateboarding can bring to Sunny if she decides to skate.
Yeah. Well, the future will tell. So yeah, thank you, Leo. Thank you so much. It was fun.
Thank you.
That's it for my conversation with Leo. Follow him on Instagram at Léo Valls Connected. To learn more about Leo and his wife Lauren's yoga and skate course Namaskate, check out their Instagram at Namaskate_yoga for skaters. Keep an eye out for Magenta's Just Cruise 2 coming very soon. And while you're waiting, go watch some of Leo's video parts for Magenta or in the Bordeaux Exposure 3 video. I'll put some links up in the description. Thank you for tuning in. See you soon for a new episode of Beyond Boards.